The paper was getting wet. That was the first thing I noticed. Not the screaming red violation stamp. Not the bizarre legalese accusing me of crimes against gravity, but the simple fact that my mail was dissolving in a slush in my hand. And let me tell you, nothing prepares you for getting mugged by rain and bureaucracy at the same time, barefoot in your own driveway, in nothing but a threadbare t-shirt and pajama bottoms, staring at a mailbox like it just spat in your cereal. It was a Tuesday, the kind that makes you wish you'd called in sick, a sky the color of depression, leaking a steady, annoying drizzle that wasn't quite rain, but definitely ruined your morning. Now, Tuesdays were supposed to be for garbage collection, not declarations of war. But here we were. I brushed a wet clump off the top of the letter, trying to decipher the official font through my fogged-up glasses. Shadow Creek Homeowners Association. It read, and my blood pressure spiked just at the sight of it. They used Comic Sans, for God's sake, for their official violation notices, which I personally believe should be a federal offense. I squinted at the rest, praying maybe the rain had smudged away some essential word like not. But no such luck. Dear homeowner, John Jax Miller, it began in that smug, perky typeface. It has come to the attention of the board that your property is in violation of Community Standard 4.1 regarding fluid containment and neighborly negligence. Specifically, we have documented unauthorized rainfall runoff traveling from your backyard into the adjacent property, Common Area B, and 402 Maple Drive. Fine, $500. Remediation required immediately. Let me say that again. Unauthorized rainfall runoff. I looked up at the sky. It was raining. I looked down at my driveway. It was wet. And because gravity exists, the water was rolling down the gentle slope, the same commanding view the realtor had sold me years ago, which I now realized was just a liability in a bathrobe. And who lived just down the slope, directly in the path of my heinous criminal runoff? Linda, my neighbor, the president of the HOA, a woman who treated the bylaws like the Dead Sea Scrolls. If they'd included clauses about acceptable mulch color and penalties for having the wrong shade of mailbox. Linda measured grass height with a ruler. I'd seen her do it. She once fined a kid for drawing on the sidewalk with chalk because the colors clashed with the neighborhood palette. She was the kind of person who could make a brick wall feel inadequate. And, apparently, she decided my rain was her enemy. Unauthorized runoff, I muttered, feeling the stupidity of it settle in my chest like a paperweight. It was rain. Rain. I folded the soggy letter, jammed it in my pocket, and stomped up the driveway, not even bothering to change or grab shoes, straight around the house to where Linda was already standing on her patio, under a screened enclosure, coffee in hand, staring up at my property like a general reviewing enemy lines. She didn't wave. She just sipped her coffee, cool as you please. I spun around, headed back to the front, and set out for 402 Maple Drive, her place. It's funny how a short walk can build up a head of steam. By the time I stepped onto her surgically clean concrete, which, might I add, was also wet and conducting its own criminal runoff, I was a powder keg. I rang the bell. Not a pound, just one sharp, deliberate ring. She opened the door, all 5'0" of her, hair so lacquered it looked bulletproof, and a blouse that had clearly been selected for its intimidation factor. "Jack," she said, voice like sandpaper. "To what do I owe the pleasure? You're tracking mud on my porch." I looked down at my slippers, leaving brown ghosts on her love mat. "Linda," I said, pulling the damp letter from my pocket. "What the hell is this?" She glanced at it, smiled, a tight, terrifying smile. "Ah, you got the notice. The mail carrier's early today. It's a $500 fine, Linda. For rain. For runoff. Unauthorized runoff." She corrected, one finger up. "It's the same thing." I flailed an arm at the sky. "It's raining. Water falls from the sky. Because physics, it flows downhill. I don't control the weather, unless you think I'm doing a rain dance just to tick you off." "Don't be facetious, Jack." She leaned against the frame. "It's not about the rain. It's about management. Your yard is sloped. The water carries silt and debris. It oversaturates the common area geraniums, and it dampens the foundation of my patio." "Dampens your patio?" "It's outdoors, Linda. Patios get damp. It creates a slipping hazard, and it's unsightly. We have strict rules about fluid containment. If the water originates on your property, it's your responsibility to keep it there. I stared at her, brain short-circuiting. Linda, it doesn't originate on my property. It's rain. It came from the clouds. It's transiting your property. Once it makes contact, it's yours. You own that water, Jack. And right now, your water is trespassing. Trespassing water? My eye twitched. So what do you want me to do? Stand outside with a shop vac every time it drizzles? Build a dome? That would be an unauthorized structure. Bylaw 8.4, no domes. Linda, this is insane. It's going to rain all week. Then I suggest you get a shovel. She started closing the door. I did something stupid. I stuck my foot out. My muddy slipper blocked her. Linda, I'm not paying this. You can't find someone for gravity. Her face shifted in an instant, smug to scared, an Oscar-worthy performance. Jack, remove your foot from my door. Just take the fine back, Linda. This is harassment. I'm feeling threatened, she yelled, loud enough for the neighbors. You're aggressive, Jack. I'm calling the police. And she slammed the door hard enough that, if I hadn't yanked my foot back, I'd still be limping. Through the wood, I heard, yes, 9/11, I have a volatile intruder. I should have left. I didn't. I was soaked, broke, and furious. So I did the most passive-aggressive thing I could think of. I sat on her porch swing. If I was going to be accused of trespassing, I might as well be comfy. 10 minutes later, a cruiser rolled up. Officer Miller stepped out. Small-town guy. Seen more disputes over barking dogs than actual crime. He trudged up, saw me on the swing, wet and pathetic. Jack, he sighed. Linda says you're trying to break down her door. Miller, do I look like I'm breaking anything down? I handed him the soggy letter. He read it. Unauthorized rainfall runoff, he read aloud, rubbing his temples. Linda says you're responsible for water flowing downhill. Miller, you ever arrest someone for rain? He allowed a long sigh. I can't enforce HOA bylaws. I can't void them, either. You've got to take it up with the board or small claims. But you can't be here, Jack. If you stay, I got to do paperwork, and I don't want to arrest you for trespassing on a Tuesday morning. Just then, Linda cracked open the door, I peering out. Is he arrested yet? Miller turned to her. Ma'am, Mr. Miller is leaving. There's no need for charges. He was aggressive. I threatened the rain. I shouted. Miller shot me a look. Go home. Put on some pants. Beat her on paper, not on the porch. I walked home in the pouring rain, seething. It wasn't about the $500. It was the principle. The arrogance. The idea that you could legislate the weather. After a hot shower and a finger of whiskey, don't judge me. It was 11 a.m., but I'd earned it. I dug out my copy of the Shadow Creek HOA bylaws. I never actually read them. Not really. But today I did, flipping through pages about mailbox colors and fence heights, until I landed on Section 14, Subsection 2, Paragraph C. Fluid containment and erosion control. Homeowners must retain all precipitation falling within their property lines. Retain all precipitation. Not divert, not manage. Retain. I reread it, and a smile crept up on me. If they wanted me to keep the water, I'd keep it, all of it. A quick call to S. Jenkins Civil Engineering and Hydrology Consulting, a woman with the voice of someone who's seen it all. And the next morning, Sarah Jenkins herself rolled up in a truck held together by duct tape and hope. She sized up my yard, looked at the slope, the soil, and grinned. Retain all precipitation? Do they know what that means? If you follow this by the book, you're making a reservoir. Can we do it? Technically, yes. Build a berm, compacted clay, 3 feet high, negative grade toward the center. Your backyard becomes a bathtub. And what happens when it rains? She just grinned. You're about to find out. Bill, her contractor, came by Thursday. A man built like a refrigerator with a shirt that said I could dig holes. He fired up his excavator at 7:01 a.m., making enough noise to wake the dead, and definitely to wake Linda. She stormed out in her bathrobe, shrieking about noise ordinances. I waved the city permit at her, savoring the taste of poetic justice. By 3 p.m., my yard looked like a bomb crater, surrounded by a magnificent, ugly clay wall. Linda peered over a fence, aghast. Jack, what have you done to your yard? It's unsightly. It's a bioretention cell, Linda. County approved. The days dragged on. It didn't rain. My yard, cracked and empty, became a neighborhood sideshow. Linda paraded the other board members by, gossiping loudly. I got a $200 fine for unsightly landscaping. I mailed back a copy of the county permit with work in progress, written in Sharpie. But finally, 3 weeks later, the skies darkened and the real storm hit. A biblical deluge, inches of rain in 2 days. I watched as my backyard transformed into Lake Jack, water pooling deeper and deeper, the berm holding strong. Meanwhile, down at Linda's place, her yard was wet, but her basement, well, that was a different story. I spotted a hose snaking from her basement window, water pumping out nonstop. Emergency plumbers came and went. Linda, panicked, appeared in her raincoat, screaming up at me to open the wall. I shrugged. Can't. HOA rules. Bylaw 14.2c. I'd be fine, Linda. Desperate, she grabbed a shovel and tried to hack a hole in my berm. Just then, Officer Miller pulled up, saw her wailing away at the dirt, and, in a twist worthy of TV, ordered her to drop the shovel. Linda, wild-eyed, demanded my arrest. He's flooding my house. Hydrostatic pressure. It's malice. Miller just shook his head. Jack, you got a permit? Taped to the window, officer. Miller turned to Linda. Ma'am, you're destroying his landscaping. He's in compliance. Linda howled. He's holding the water hostage. Sorry, ma'am. That's a civil matter. The rain finally stopped, and as Lake Jack slowly receded, the damage was clear. Linda's basement was toast. Hazmat teams hauled out soaked carpet and ruined furniture. The smell of mildew drifted up the hill. I sipped my coffee on the deck, savoring victory. But, of course, Linda sued me. Civil damages. Negligence. Malicious alteration of topography. Her words. My insurance sent a lawyer named Robert, who smiled like a shark. Sarah Jenkins came on as my expert witness. In the deposition, Linda's lawyer tried to paint me as a Bond villain with a grudge. Did you, or did you not, construct an earth berm with the intent of flooding my client's basement? I constructed a fluid containment system, in strict compliance with the HOA bylaws, I replied. Robert slid across the original violation letter. Exhibit A. The plaintiff fined Mr. Miller for runoff and demanded he retain all precipitation. He complied. Sarah unrolled her cross-section diagrams. If you force someone to retain thousands of gallons of rain on clay soil, that water has to go somewhere. Downhill, underground, straight to the weakest point, the plaintiff's foundation. Robert leaned back. Legally, you can't order someone to do something and then sue them for doing it. It's called estoppel. Linda's lawyer paled. The lawsuit was dropped. The HOA's insurance, furious at the whole circus, jacked up the rates for everyone. Every household got a letter announcing a $1,700 hike in dues and a special assessment. The Facebook group lost its mind. Anonymously, a transcript of the whole fiasco showed up online. The truth spread. Linda, through her own rules, had managed to flood her own house, and now everyone was paying for it. The next HOA meeting was a coup. Linda was ousted, the entire board replaced. New president, Dave, a laid-back guy who just wanted to brew beer in peace, motioned to strike bylaw 14.2. See, the room cheered. Gravity was legal again. Bill came back with his bulldozer and fixed my yard, restoring it to a gentle, natural slope. I stood with him on the deck, the sun shining, the air full of birdsong, and we clinked our beers in celebration. Linda poked her head out, thought about saying something, then turned and disappeared inside. And that was that. You know, they say you can't fight City Hall. But I'll tell you, sometimes, if you read the fine print, you can drown the HOA. Funny thing is, the whole mess taught me a brutal little truth. Sometimes the rules, the ones we cling to for order or fairness, end up hurting the very people who write them, especially when they're enforced without any room for common sense or, basic physics. I learned the hard way that the law doesn't always care about what's right. It cares about what's written, and sometimes The only way to win is to play the game better than the people who invented it. So now I've got a normal yard, a lighter bank account, and a story that gets better with every retelling. But let me ask you, where's the line? When does enforcing the rules turn into abusing power? And when is payback just karma or just pettiness with a permit? I'd love to hear your take. What's your line between justice and revenge? Ever gone to war with your own HOA? Or gotten a taste of neighborhood politics gone mad? Drop your story below. Let's hear what gravity did to you.